We just finished up the topic testing methods masterclass, and I recorded it. And of course, we have Starlink internet and a 5G backup here. It's a massive snowstorm outside, and so I'm going to answer some more questions here right now. Another question that came up through the chat was what to expect in a paid consultation. First off, I'm Justin Hitt, and I help businesses create and keep profitable customers. So when we sit down for a consultation, it is about what are the key problems that if we solved in your business would have $1 million or more in value. So I'm real big on measuring success by the money in your bank account. Now, it's not all about money, but again, most things in life these days are getting more and more expensive. So at least if we can cover the cost of the things that we're doing, then you can keep doing them. Now, a lot of times my clients are subject matter experts, entrepreneurs, and executives. And these folks have lifestyles that cost money to enjoy, but ultimately they have something of value to the marketplace. And so in a free market, what they do doesn't deserve income per se, because a lot of times other people can learn this stuff, but the services they provide are definitely life-changing for their clients. They make a massive difference for their clients. So when we have a conversation, first off, we're going to talk about your unique situation. The majority of the people who do paid consultations have already attended a webinar or an event. They've already taken a workshop. They've already got a home study course. They've done the DIY stuff, and they're ready to get real results with actual implementation. So we're going to look at what is the obstacle that keeps you from implementation. Now, we typically do either a SWOT analysis. We might do a SIPOC. We might do some formula. Could be the GROW coaching formula, but I'm going to think about what formula is going to be best to get us on track so that we can identify the goals and objectives that you have, identify what obstacles and challenges you face, identify where you'd like to go, what does success look like, and then start developing a plan of action. Now, some consultations, I'm just going to sit there and answer every question you've got and then give you some written feedback. I always do written feedback because I think if you don't get a report of findings, then you really don't have something tangible to do with. Now, we do record our consultations. The reason we record consultations is because sometimes we'll do some role play. So maybe you've talked with me before, and now we're going to look at how to position you as an expert in the marketplace because you're going to do topic testing methods. And so you need some content. And I say, great, we got an hour on the call. Let's go ahead and cover 3 topics, 10 minutes each, and I might coach you on that. So I'm going to ask a question. You're going to reply to the question by repeating the question, and then just tell us what a buyer needs to know. I'm going to keep quiet. I'm not going to interject or anything. We have a conversation, and then what you can do with the audio recording is to chop it up, and then take that 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you've answered the question, and use it as a podcast. Just like here, I got a question from you guys that says what to expect in a paid consultation. I'm telling you, the paid consultations focused on solving real problems that have a tangible and measurable result in your business immediately. My goal for you is that whatever you invest in a paid consultation, you're going to get back 100 times fold. So if you come in there and say, how can I sell an ebook because I want to be popular, I want to have a YouTube channel that everybody loves and my family watches, that's not a $1 million problem to solve. That's not a $100,000 problem to solve. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to say, hey, what does this matter to your business? Where's the profit in this? How would you measure success? And then through how you're going to measure success, I'm going to adjust my tone so that at the end of the call, you're going to be held accountable. You're going to have a plan. You're going to go out there and do something. Now, I may go out and find some resources for you. I might do some footwork on my side, write that up in a report of findings. I'll submit that afterwards. And so you now have a tangible approach or plan of action. Now, in some calls, I'll know 5 minutes into the call, you're not fit to be a client. Maybe you're cheap. Well, it's okay to be cheap or thrifty. I got old clapped out laptops, but maybe you're at the point where you don't see the benefit in investing in a solution that's going to take you to the next level. And that's fine. I've got a lot of DIY materials. I've got a lot of podcasts. I've got a lot of articles. I'll just give you some reports and I'll say, good luck. Again, because again, it could be the timeline. One client I was having a consultation with, his wife really wasn't on board with him quitting his job and doing what he wanted to do, even though he had the subject matter expertise to be a consultant, even though he'd already done 1099 work. I said, look, about 30 minutes into the call, I said, look, either your wife needs to come on the call or you need to go off and talk to her about these 5 things. Now, he's extremely satisfied with the call because I do have an evaluative look at it. I've got a background in comparative religion. I'm a chaplain at a local rescue squad. I have good listening skills. I've got all that kind of training that a coach does or a consultant has. And I'm gonna do what's best in your best interest. Now, it is a confidential call, even though it is recorded. We don't talk about anything that's illegal. We don't talk about anything that's specific to your proprietary to your business. We don't talk about anything that would be more in depth after there's a consulting relationship. Because again, if we jump right into the mud and we're deep diving into one consultation call, his son had some lifestyle that he didn't approve of, and probably took like 3 or 4 calls before he found out this is a huge opportunity for his business. He was an interior designer. He had a remodeling company, and the wife was interior designer. And without exposing who the client is, because it is a confidential call, it turns out there just was a miscommunications in the family. I'm not a family counselor. I'm not there to fix your relationship. I'm there to fix your business. I'm there to help you, again, increase cash flow, build relationships with customers. And if I say, hey, it's, before you schedule another call, I know you're excited about scheduling another call. I don't want to get on weekly calls with you until you've had marriage counseling or until you've called your son and found out what's going on with him. Okay. So I'm going to be sometimes uncomfortably direct, but I find that that's what people are looking for. So again, when you're ready to solve a problem, you've been frustrated and you're just going to pay once and profit many times. Then you come to me, I help you develop a plan. A lot of times I'm working with folks and I say, have you considered these 3 points? Now, based on what you've shared with me, have you considered this approach? And they're like, oh my Lord, that is exactly what I need. And then they get excited. I'm like, whoa, put the brakes on a little bit. Let's go through the steps that you're going to take. And now I feel they're better prepared. They get better results. I'm really measuring your results after the call. And so the consultation is structured. I may ask you to send me a bunch of stuff before the call. It is work. Okay. I'm not just there to upsell you. I'm not there to find out the 5 key emotional points and then prod and poke and manipulate them to get you tied into some kind of 12-month plan at $1 million. No, I'm sincerely want to know, what can we do to help you solve big problems? And if I'm not a match, maybe you need to be coddled. Maybe you need somebody to tell you how great you are and how, if the world just knew how awesome you are, they would just beat a path to your door. No, I'm more mechanics. I'm more, if you want the world to know how good you are, here are the things that we're going to need to do based on what I understand your situation is, what your resources are available are, what your inclination to do advertising, how fast you want to get the results. Sometimes people are still working full time and they want to get the results over time. One client was a government contractor and he had a small 8A business and he had sites all over the place. And he didn't want to travel to those sites all the time. So he wanted to make sure that every new office they opened up, they had at least 2 big contracts and they had an office manager. And so my suggestion was for him to speed that up. But until his wife was finished up with something, raising kids, they had young kids at home, they weren't ready to do that travel. And so, okay, we accommodate. But you will find that I am money oriented in the sense that if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. If you can't measure it, then you shouldn't be doing it when it comes to business. Now, for me, I have goats that are costing me money. I have, I go sit in the woods in quiet and I just meditate and I don't get anything out of that other than I guess it does have value to have better health, better peace of mind. But again, how do you measure better peace of mind? And so I still measure that in performance. Like when I go to the gym, am I lifting X number of pounds, and then 6 months ago I was only lifting Y number of pounds, and is X certain percentage more than the other? Now again, not everybody's like that. So again, if we do the consultation and you're not completely satisfied with your time together, was I respectful? Did we connect well enough that you trust that I can help you solve a problem? Was my plan clear? Was it something that was practical for your situation? Did I meet you where you were and understand and listen carefully to what you were saying? All of those things have to be there. And if for any reason you're not satisfied with a paid consultation, then I will completely refund every penny of what you paid for the consultation. You show me the receipt. And if you say, well, Justin, that was just 50%, I'll just give you 50% back. Now, you'll never do business with me again because it wasn't a right fit, which is okay. No problem. I'll give you 100% back. I don't care. Money is not the most important thing. Now, if you say, well, Justin, this is really good, but I'm going to need some help implementing this. I'm going to need you to find me some vendors. I'm going to need you to find me, to help me write up this plan, to do a study of my existing processes to figure out which of these processes are making me money and which ones are not. How about you audit my marketing agency that I've been working with for 3 years? It doesn't seem to perform. How about you find me multiple agencies to work with? Give me a webmaster to work to do these 5 things. Then we apply 100% of your paid consultation. So it's a fee it's pay for access. You're going to take that and put it towards whatever the statement of work that we come up with, whatever the proposal we approve, or the plan of action that we implement. And then, even then, you're asking about, what's it going to be like? I do hold people accountable. So if you say, I can do these 3 things, and we know those 3 things are going to improve your business, there will be times where it might be uncomfortable, and I might say, hey, remember last week we said, because for some clients I'm doing weeklies, sometimes I'm doing monthlies, sometimes we do group calls. But I say, you know what, you came to the group and you said you're going to do these 3 things last month. I don't want to hear why you haven't done it, but are those still where you want to be? Oh, yeah, this is where I want to be. Okay, then which of these things will you do before I check in with you next week? And then if I call next week and you hadn't done those things, then you're in trouble. And again, some people need that. Some people don't. I keep a profile on each client and I give them what they need. Now, I have been in situations where I'm working with a long-term client. So we're doing coaching. I'm doing project work. I'm managing teams doing project work. And where I get a phone call and they say, look, I got a senior level executive that needs to know how this works. Can you write up how it works and then come in and do a presentation? No problem. We'll do that. Now, it's going to cost you money. I don't do it for free. But I'm not making any money off of you doing a paid consultation. And the reason is because it could have cost me $1,000 to get you in the door, to find you who have your challenge, your problem, and that you're a good match with me and everything. And so if you pay $600 for a consultation and it cost me $1,000 to get you in the door, I've lost money. Now, I make a lot of money by getting rid of you if you're not a good match, or if you're not going to work, or you're not serious about what you want to do, or you're not willing to go through the steps. However, if you come on for a long-term project, typical clients stay a year, they stay 10 years sometimes. Sometimes they'll go away and come back. That's fine. Sometimes they just pay me for the insurance of knowing that if they have a problem, they can just call me up. We have open call days, by the way. And of course, any past client is welcome to a group coaching call, because a group coaching, unless they've, they're no longer a fit. But because there's some past clients I had to fire. Again, you're going to get very empathetic, but not so empathetic that I'm going to coddle you. And you're going to get very focused, outcome-oriented results. I wrote a program called Outcome Management. Nothing happens until you take action. And then once you take action, how do you know you took the right action? Well, you've got to measure and make sure you're going in the right direction. And so again, a paid consultation with me, some people are different, is more like working with a lawyer who's exploring whether there's a case here. They're evaluating the situation. They're giving you feedback. And there's no obligation that after you do a paid consultation that you got to do anything else with me for the rest of your living life. But a lot of times what happens is someone says, okay, well, I need a hand implementing X, Y, and Z. Can you write something up for that? And so probably about 50% of the cases, I'm going to write up something. I might have a program that I'd rather you use the program first to do DIY, but it's all based on what resources you have available. If you've got a marketing team that's in-house, it might be easier for them just to implement a new plan. If you have a marketing agency outside, it's probably easier to us to do an audit and see whether or not they're doing what they're supposed to. Sometimes that straightens them out right away. But if you have any combination thereof, we might need to supplement your team. And so again, the consultation is you oriented, and I will ask you right up front, what are we trying to accomplish today? It's only an hour, so we can't boil the ocean or solve every problem you've got, but we can document the problems you have and build out a priority so that we have a plan of action. So again, you will be satisfied with it in the sense that you've gotten something of value. It will be bankable. And I see the paid consultation as me getting you something now that finances anything I might offer you in the future. Because often, like set up a homestead, the typical farm costs a $500,000 to $1 million to produce. And so if we're doing a consultation about your plan for building a homestead, and we're talking about marketing, and we're talking about your content plan, and we're talking about how you're going to communicate with customers and market research, it's the least of your expenses. But done wrong, you could be $1 million into a winery and have no customers. So again, there's a lot at stake here, and I take it seriously, but I'm not so blunt that I'm not gonna try to hurt your feelings. But I have hurt people's feelings in the calls, and they've called me back in a couple months and said, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you gave me an objective, clear, and without bias feedback on what's going on. My job is to evaluate you in a way that you can take the evaluation alone and benefit from it. Because the more you benefit, the more likely we're going to have a second, third, fourth, fifth exchange, which is where the money is made. A lot of people ask, how do you make any money out of this, doing all this content? What's the angle? Well, the angle is that I'm using the content to sift and sort. And then when you get the right people on the call, I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me. And then afterwards, we have the cream of the crop. We have the best of the best. People that I know that when they do what we discussed are going to get the results that I've created for clients for the last 30 years. We have created $1 billion in value. That includes new sales, cost avoidance, regulatory risk avoidance. See, I'm going to ask a lot of risk management questions. We have created improvements in business process, all documented, worth $1 billion. There's a reason I get these results, and it's because I have a systematic approach for doing the consultation. So again, if you're interested in a paid consultation, you can visit any of my websites, www.justinhitt.com. That's my personal professional site. You can visit www.jwhco.com. That's the business site. It's got a lot of the DIY materials on there. And you just go to the contact page. If there's no button there, you might see schedule discovery call, or you can just contact the office and we'll send you the details you need. So that's what you can expect in a paid consultation. And then you take away as much benefit as possible. I always do a follow-up video or a follow-up written material so that you can action step it. And then I liken that to reference other materials I've already created so that you can really get that foundation necessary without spending days on a call, but that foundation necessary to get tangible and beneficial results that you can bank on. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. If you want to learn more about the effective marketing management for profits through the communications you have with clients, there'll be a link in the description below. And again, I'm going to answer the rest of the questions that have come up. My Starlink is not working that well because of the snow, which is, fine for me. Overall, though, this is what to expect in a paid consultation.